We have a massive big point about the Donald Trump tariff announcement. 100% tariffs on the BRICS countries if they don't play nice with the dollar. We're going to talk about something that no one is talking about. Breaking news and exclusive here in Ron's basement. We'll get to that later, but we also want to talk about $8,000 gold. Does it seem doable to you? It seems doable to me. I have a new piece of research from one of the most respected, most loved analysts in the gold and silver sector. And to me, it became crystal clear. You know that feeling when you're reading something and you're like, oh, yeah, that makes sense. That makes perfect sense. And embedded in this research are some incredible facts about the gold and silver markets that we'll talk about as well. First, I owe you a big major apology. Not only was I late to get onto the live stream video this morning, so I apologize for that, but also I'd made a prediction that we would get $44 silver. I don't know if you can see it, but we've got it on the Christmas tree back there. We'd promised that by Christmas. There is still hope, my fellow basement dwellers. Do you think it's possible that we could see a massive rally here in the next 4 weeks and see $44 silver? But it is becoming more of a hope than a realistic reality. The reason why that's the case is because of the Donald Trump election black swan. Again, we don't hear anybody else calling the Donald Trump election a black swan. And just the fact that he was elected itself isn't the black swan. It is the overwhelming level of the victory that he had that I think shocked everyone. Everyone thought that it would be a contested election, all that, and that we'd be going through, that we'd just now be finding out who our next president was. But it was just an overwhelming situation, like a reverse black swan almost, right? Like it was very orderly. And I'm not at all making any kind of political statement here, just stating the facts of what occurred. And it created this strange environment in a lot of the markets for the last 3 weeks. That's not going away. Okay. And that did hurt the silver price. No doubt about it, right? We were at $35 silver on Halloween, October 31st. Little did we know that we should have been scared more than by just the little monsters coming to our doors. We should have been scared about the silver price dropping, because it did drop. But let's talk about something positive, and that is what the silver price did last night. Okay, I woke up and silver was down like 60 cents. I checked the silver price last night before Betty Boom Boom time. You know, after I kissed Susie goodnight. And silver was down 50 cents. Let's go take a look and see what it's doing now, because I want to show you a few things on the charts that I think are very optimistic as we look at the silver price. I think Susie might be on the live stream as well. Maybe she can yell down to me if she is. But here's a 1-day chart of the silver price, guys. Look at this. We were as low as basically $30 and let's say 50 cents, $30.60. Nonetheless, right? We have rallied up by almost 50 cents as we are recording this live right now at 8:43 a.m. Central Time on December 2nd, 2024. This is big. Look at that move that we had in silver. I don't know about you, right? Like I know we're not supposed to watch the silver price. We're not even supposed to really care what silver's priced in dollars. But the reality is we all pay attention to it. And it was a sinking feeling. And this is very optimistic. Now, what I want to show you that I'm finding interesting on the 1-year chart, and let's get the crayons out here real quick, is that if you look over the last month, right, we were, I don't know, but early, well, hold on. This is going to be easier for me to show this to you on a 1-month chart. So basically, guys, since 11/8, so 3 weeks, 4 weeks, we've been in a range, trading in a range in the silver price between about $31.50 and $30.50. We will eventually break out. The important thing to remember here with silver is, as we look at this, we will eventually break out. A lot of people like to draw these wedges, right? Here, I'll draw a wedge for you as we come down from the $35 high in October up to here. As you can see, the price is getting compressed. It's even getting more compressed in this $1 range. Eventually here, it's going to have to either break to the upside or break to the downside. I believe it's going to break to the upside. I can't see the silver price given all of the dynamics going on. Don't forget, this is a huge news story. China, it is so important as silver investors that we pay attention to what's going on in China. And the PBOC, the People's Bank of China, changed the rules. That's massive. Right? Remember, China's either the biggest or the second biggest economy in the world, depending on who you want to listen to. And we know that China is definitely the biggest manufacturing country in the world, and that they're clamoring for more and more silver. And the PBOC, their central bank, changed the rules on who can trade silver on the Shanghai Gold Exchange. Okay. And the Shanghai Gold Exchange is the world's physical silver market. I've never thought of that. That's brand new thing, right? Did a light bulb just go off in your head? Did you see me lighten up when I said that? Right? The Shanghai Gold Exchange is the world's physical gold exchange, right? The COMEX in the LBMA, they trade make-believe silver. They trade paper silver, right? At a ratio of 411 paper ounces for each 1 real ounce. So as we look at this move that we're going to go through here into 2025, if we just consider China alone, that is super supportive, super bullish for the silver price. They are the world's biggest manufacturer. They have 1.4 billion people. And I wish I still had the charts up, but I had some charts that showed that in India also, right, the amount of silver going into their ETP products is skyrocketing. Like in the last, I think it was 3 or 4 years, it started at 0, and now it's at, if my calculations were correct, almost 35 million ounces that Indian investors, right, are holding in ETP products. That doesn't even count all the silver that Indian investors. So the silver outlook remains very, very optimistic. And the other thing I want to mention is when it comes to, look, why are you mad at me? Why? How could you be mad at me? Right? I predicted $44 silver by Christmas. You have every right to say, but I said, don't make any financial decisions based on anything I say. I could be wrong. I'm usually not, but often am wrong. As we look at this, what caused it with Trump, right? What I'm calling a black swan, and that's not I'm not saying that in a negative way, right? Or it was a reverse back black swan, whatever, right? It was a surprise. Right, the Trump thing, and like we already discussed, the last 3 weeks, the markets are struggling to understand what's going on. The Trump uncertainty is not going away. Okay, look at just what happened over the weekend with the 100% tariffs. We're going to talk about that more later on, and I've got a piece, an idea, a point, a fact that's going to blow you away that nobody else is talking about. This is a Ron's Basement exclusive. I didn't get this from reading. This one actually was generated between my ears, and it's going to blow you away. But let's talk about $8,000 gold. Do you believe? $8,000 gold. Oh, no, gold can never do that. No, it's okay for a crypto to go up 400% in 3 days, right? Unicorn, I guess that's because it's unicorn fart dust. But nonetheless, we can't talk about, we can talk about $8,000 gold, and it could be a reality, and it could happen much sooner than you or I even really want to anticipate. Let's go back out, though, and check on the silver and gold price. We're going to go to channel sponsor, Pimbex, Pimbex, Pimbex.com, and let's press that's the magic button there. Let's press it. Come on. Okay, silver down 11 cents, gold down $12. It's okay. Right? Volatility will happen. Right? Now, if you want to buy silver, gold, or platinum group metals, maybe you're going to buy some gifts for some loved ones for the holidays. It's always important that you get the best price. Of course, you want to make sure you're getting real silver, real gold, and Pimbex is a company you can trust. Now, you do your own due diligence. I'll never tell you what to do, but I'll tell you my experience. I did research on Pimbex before they sponsored the basement. I bought gold and silver. I'm sorry, I didn't buy gold, silver from Pimbex before they sponsored the basement. I trust Pimbex. The basement dweller community, based on overwhelming positive response I've received from you, trusts Pimbex. But what's even better with Pimbex, on top of the fact that you can trust them, is their prices are always ultra competitive on the same products, the exact same products that you can see at other big online bullion dealer websites. Oftentimes with silver, you can save $1 or so per ounce. So do yourself a favor. If you're going to buy, just consider, give them a shot. And I think you'll find what I found. Pimbex is best. Now let's talk about $8,000 gold. And you know what that would do to the silver price, right? Now this comes from Egon von Gares. If you don't know who this guy is, he's super respected. He's been in the silver and gold area, the market, for decades. And he put out a piece of work here. It has some data in here that is absolutely incredulous. You know, I was shaken. I didn't realize some of these facts about silver and gold. But he says the gold will rise by multiples. Hey, I roughly figured 3x. I came up with $8,000 gold. I think that Egon would say even higher. But listen to this. I'm going to read just the highlights to you. But this, just be prepared. Get a cup of coffee. This is good. As Eastern and Southern central banks substantially increase their gold holdings, Western central banks will most probably have little physical gold in their coffers. Total global gold reserves allegedly held by central banks, 37,000 tons, are valued at $3.1 trillion at the current market price of about $2,700 gold. Okay, so there's $3 trillion of gold held by world central banks. That value is absurd when one U.S. company, this blew me away. I never thought about this. Microsoft has the same valuation. Yes, one company, a software company, they don't even make anything physical, it's just software. Microsoft has the same valuation as all the gold held by all the world central banks. Just think about it. Microsoft is as big as the gold backing the global financial system. Furthermore, Western central banks have most probably, I'm going to make sure I got you on the right screen, which I do. Western central banks have most probably hypothecated and rehypothecated, which means lent or leased their gold several times via bullion banks. But that gold will never come back. Consequently, central banks are heavily short on gold and will be badly squeezed when the gold market becomes disorderly. What he's saying is that a lot of these banks have leased out, right? Have basically sold their gold, and they're going to have to cover possibly some of these central banks are short on gold. The combination of Eastern, Southern central banks gold buying, that would be the BRICS countries, and all central banks replacing their dollar reserves with gold will lead to unprecedented demand for gold for many years. More gold cannot satisfy this demand since the current gold mine production of around 3,000 tons cannot be increased. You can't just print more gold. You can't just create more gold out of thin air. Thus, the substantial increase in physical gold demand can only be satisfied by much, much higher prices. This is why gold will rise by multiples. And he says the article could stop here, but no, why do that? Because we're going to look at some of these charts and data. Here's the gold price from 1971 through 2024, right? That's when Nixon took us off the gold standard in green. Gold is up 78 times since Nixon closed the gold window in 1971. Think about that, guys. In 1971, 35 paper US dollars would buy you an ounce of gold. Today, what does that get you? That doesn't even get you a gram of gold, right? It gets you what? About a third of a gram of gold, right? Gold has gone from $35 to $2,600 since Nixon closed that gold standard. This next example is crazy. Just look at the chart above, which shows the relentless bull gold market. We just looked at that. As I've stated in many articles, gold is now in its exponential phase. I've shown my illustration of what exponential means with this picture. Okay, I don't know if I can't. Okay, this is a picture of a football stadium. Okay, how long does it take to fill this massive football stadium with water? This is an example of exponential growth. If you do one drop of water per minute, the number of drops doubles every minute. So you do one drop per minute, but you double the drop. So the first minute you do one drop. A minute later, you add 2 drops. A minute after that, you add 4 drops. A minute after that, you add 8 drops. Okay. How long does it take to fill this whole football stadium? A day, a month, a year? No, only 50 minutes. This is a mathematical fact, guys. How full is it after 45 minutes? Remember, it takes 50 minutes to fill the whole stadium with water. It's only 75. No, after 45 minutes, it's only 7% full. In the final 5 minutes, it went from being 7% full of water to 100% full of water. That example always blows my mind, and it's been about a year since I've shown it. And he says, they make it clear gold is now in a phase where the price will go up by multiples. Okay. Talks about major gold selling by world central banks. Okay. This is a crazy chart. Let me see if I can make this bigger for you. Hold on here, guys. This basically shows in green that hold on, this didn't show up on the computer as much as I wanted it to. All right, that's a little better. This chart is a little bit blurry. A little blit. Central bank gold demand. Okay, so this shows us that from up to about 2006, right? For decades, we had central banks selling gold. That's the green down there on the left. Central banks sold gold during the late 1990s amid generally good macroeconomic conditions, right? That's when everything was great. Then we had okay, thank you. Hey, thank you, Don Howe, for the super chat. And thank you to Susie for providing me a update text there. Then there was a big shift here, around 2008, around the time of the great financial crisis, where we saw central bank gold buying take off. This is not Western. This is all the BRICS countries, basically, all the Eastern countries buying gold for their central banks. Next. History tells us that gold should never be sold. If politicians and central bankers ever studied history, they would know that no paper money has ever survived. Ever. Guys, we got to remember this when we're looking at these markets. No paper money, no man-made money, ever in history. Never, ever survived. Never. Okay? None of these. Right? Paper dollars ever survived. And I'm sorry for you crypto fans, no man-made form of money has ever survived. Only gold and silver. Not anti-crypto. I'm not even anti-paper money. I love paper money when it's backed by real hard assets. Nonetheless, let's get back to our article because he's got a few more statistics in here that are really mind-numbing, okay? Hold on, let's go down here. Here we go. Ralph Waldo Emerson even said, gold is for freedom and benefit. Fort Knox holds, this is talking about the gold in Fort Knox. Fort Knox, the supposed 8,000 tons of gold that our government supposedly has in Fort Knox that we have not been able to audit since 1955 or something like that? They just say, just believe us, it's there, okay? Fort Knox holds nothing but moss and half-eaten IOUs. Vince Lancy of Goldfix recently wrote that article, right? I mean, we could talk about this for hours. I'm just trying to hit the highlights here. Okay. Here, Egon, in reality, a central bank only holds an IOU issued by a bullion bank. If the central bank attempts to reclaim the gold, it will never get it back, as the gold has likely been sold to buyers in China or India who have purchased it outright with no obligation to return it. Okay. Let's move on down here. I'm going to reduce this a little bit for us. Here we go. Make it a little more readable for you, hopefully. Gold is up 11 times, 11x in the 2000s. Here we are, 24 years into the 21st century, from 2000 to 2024. Gold is up 11 times in US dollars, more in other currencies. As we know, it's up a lot more. We've looked at gold in Canadian dollars. We've looked at gold in Australian dollars. Okay. Between 2001 and 2011, gold rose 8x with no single down year. In the past 24 years, we've seen an incredible strong bull market in gold, and we'll say silver as well, with virtually no one participating. Still, only 0.5% of global, we talk about US, global even, 0.5% of global financial assets are invested in gold. And I don't think it's a stretch to say that number is probably even much lower, that percentage, for silver. So virtually nobody understands or invests in it. All right, there's a chart showing, right? This is like 0.5%. How little of the world's financial assets. Okay, gold is outperformed. Nobody talks about this. Vastly outperformed stocks in the 2000s. In the past 24 years, the S&P 500 with dividends reinvested. Okay, the S&P 500 with dividends reinvested rose by 572%. Gold is up 990% for the same period with much less volatility. Gold ownership and silver ownership, I'm a silver stacker, is like a hidden, well-guarded secret. Very few, not even professional investors, know that gold has gone up 1,000% or 11 times this century. So few people own gold, okay? History proves that gold over the medium long term always reflects the government's irresponsibility and an opportunistic management of the company. This is what hit me hard about that last night when I read that. Guys, think about all that debt. All the debt. If we just look at the US debt, if we just go out, let's go on a field trip. I forgot the most important part. You. Give me 30 seconds. Okay, you are important. It's a big honor when you join us here in the basement. We love to talk about our favorite subject. Do you love to talk about silver and gold? I think you do. That's why you're here, right? Let's make it clear. You're part of the tribe. You might as well subscribe and give us a thumbs up while you're at it. Thank you for the super chat. Thank you for the super thanks. Let's pull up Don Howe. Good morning, Don. A regular contributor and much appreciated. Thank you very much. Okay, so we're going to go out to the debt clock quickly. Okay, this is what hit me last night. You can look at this thing all day long. It's mind-numbing, right? Okay, all that debt can only result in one thing, guys. It can only result in one thing. I don't care what Donald Trump and Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy do. We've got the debt. It's here. Okay, they can't magically erase the debt, and it is growing, and it likely, despite all these campaign promises, it will likely, they're estimating, grow by $7 trillion during Donald Trump's presidency. The only result of all that debt is devaluation of the dollar. There's no other way, no matter how you slice it or dice it, no matter what you do, with all that debt and all that debt growing. Okay, it's a mathematical certainty that the value of the paper unicorn fart dust money that supports it goes down. That's going to happen. It's a certainty, right? And as I was reading this last night, it hit me. And then it also hit me that how can all the gold held by all the world central banks, all the gold, be equal to the market cap of one company, Microsoft? Here's I'd never seen this. This is a box that shows global gold stocks. Okay, this is all the gold in the world. Here, where is it? I was going to read something to you. I can just tell you, right? That's all the gold in the world, 201,000 tons. Remember, and there's the picture, 22 meters. Okay, by 22 meters. Think of a football field. Maybe you watch some American football over the weekend, right? And think of 20 yards, a little over. Think of 25 yards, whatever. 25 yards. That's where they put the football when they do when the kickoff goes into the end zone, right? The 25-yard line. Think from the end zone to the 25-yard line. Think that length, and then think of a cube that's 25 long, 25 wide. That's all the gold that's ever been mined in the history of the world. This shocked me, right? Look at the portion of it that is taken up by jewelry. Okay. But there's the central bank holdings and there's private investment. Central banks have 3.1 trillion worth. Private investment, that would be you, right? Have 3.6 trillion worth. Jewelry was way bigger than I thought at 8 trillion. And there's the below ground known gold, probably like the reserves that are held by the mining companies that have not yet been mined out of the earth. And it takes a lot of cost and a lot of effort to get that gold out of the ground. Central banks allegedly hold that amount, okay? Only 201,000 tons of gold have been produced in history. All this gold is assumed to still be around, although some might be at the bottom of the sea or hidden forever. Just under half is used for jewelry, which is crazy. But now comes the very important figures. Only 43 tons or 3.6 trillion is held by private investors like you, basement dwellers. If we compare that to the biggest U.S. companies, only NVIDIA has a market cap of 3.5 trillion, and that's probably even higher now, and so does Apple. Okay, that means that NVIDIA alone, Apple alone, right, Microsoft alone, and then companies behind it are almost worth as much as all the gold held by investors in the world. Even more astounding is that all the gold held by central banks, 3.1 trillion, which is the same as Microsoft's market cap. So the shareholders of Microsoft could swap their shares against all the central bank gold in the world, right? I mean, it's just absolutely crazy. There's JP Morgan. Gold is money. Everything else is credit and unicorn fart dust. And these tech stocks, we won't go down that path, but they are just like unbelievable valuations. Some people may call it a bubble. I'll leave that up to you. Don't forget, I got some crazy insights about this Donald Trump tariff stuff too, guys. We will get to that next. The dollar's on its way to zero, right? This shows since 1971 when we had $35 gold. This is the opposite way to look at what we talked about earlier. That the dollar lost, okay, from 1971 to 2024, the dollar lost 99% of its value, right? How much more will it lose? We know the trend, no doubt about it. The total market cap of the top 10 U.S. companies is almost 20 trillion. If we look at that cube above again, at today's price, all the gold ever produced in history is at today's price worth about 17 trillion, probably even lower than that. That means all the gold ever mined in the history of the world is worth all the gold in the entire world, all of it, including what you own, right? If you combine all the gold in the world, okay, it is worth less than the top 10 countries in the United States. Gold's undervalued by multiples. And he says here, as our friend Bill Bonner recently wrote in his wonderful style, sooner or later, this is powerful. The lava flows of red hot credit, right? Debt, credit, make believe, Ponzi, paper, whatever you want to call it, are going to meet up with the cold reality of rising interest rates. When this happens, most likely, stocks, bonds, and real estate will be buried like Pompeii. Some investors will take a big loss. Big deal. Markets are correct all the time, but we're not making predictions. We're just looking at the worst case scenario, and it could be far worse than just a market sell-off, okay? What Bill states above is inevitable. And gold's coming rise by multiples is a sine qua non, an absolute prerequisite. Okay. All right, guys. Let's move on here. This is such a great article. Again, this is at von Geires.gold, the case for gold. Man, does that not make you feel? It made me feel almost certain when we look. I mean, can you believe all the gold in the world? All the gold, which has been valuable since the beginning of time, been valuable everywhere in the world, is worth less than thank you, Silver Sparky, for that super chat, is worth less than the top 10 U.S. corporations, right? Many of which have very, very little assets, okay? Oh my gosh, we're getting all kinds. Hold on, I want to say thank you to Silver Sparky. Everyone smash that thumbs up. Yeah, hey, I don't ask that very often. Let's get some thumbs up going, huh, guys? What do you say? Thank you, Silver Sparky. And Justin. Thank you, Justin. All right. Thank you, Justin. Hey, it's my pleasure. Yes, we work very hard, but you know what? Nobody forces me to do this, and I love it. The best part are the people, you, okay? Let's talk about what's going on with Trump here in 1 second, okay? Here in 1 second. Well, let's do that right now, then we'll come back to this other stuff, okay? This is a big point. This is a Ron's Basement exclusive. This is one of those things that's sitting right there in front of everybody's face, but nobody's realizing it. Kind of like I don't realize I have my glasses on most of the time when I'm talking to you guys. And this has to do everything with what's going to happen with the silver and gold price and these 100% tariffs. Okay, so let me lead up to this. Give me a little time to lead up. Let's all have a quick sip of coffee, and we're going to talk some crazy news. Okay, so we got this big news from Trump over the weekend that he lashed out at the BRICS countries and said, if you guys even think about having your own currency to trade amongst yourselves, to conduct trades amongst yourselves, I'm going to put 100% tariffs on you. Okay, a big threat. Okay, now think about this. If we weren't losing, this is not the big point. I'll tell you when we get to this big critical point, okay? and I mean, it blew me away when I thought about this. But if we weren't losing to the BRICS, if they weren't winning, then why would Trump make this shocking 100% tariff announcement, okay? Is he afraid? Is he afraid of the BRICS gold-backed currency? Are the central bankers in the United States afraid in the West of a BRICS gold-backed currency? Okay, and there's a reason why all these countries are buying gold. Okay, now point number one, and this is not the big one, but how can you not say that a threat like that of a 100% tariffs if you don't use the dollar? How can you not say that that's not additional weaponization of the US dollar? We weaponized the dollar against the Russians at the onset of the Ukraine, conflict. We know what that led to. That led to countries buying more and more and more gold and silver, right? We weaponized the dollar. Now we're saying that if you don't stay with the dollar, we're gonna put 100% tariffs on you. So how can we say that's not the big point? Okay, that's not it, but that's a big point. That's a big major point. Okay, and here it is. Okay, my question would be, okay, if Donald Trump is out there saying, okay, that you got to use the dollar, the almighty dollar, or we're gonna put all these tariffs on you, and he's defending the dollar. How can he be doing that, defending the dollar, but at the same time be Mr. Pro crypto, pro Bitcoin? Because aren't crypto and Bitcoin supposed to be this alternative to the US dollar? Aren't they like the enemy of the US dollar? So how can he say we need to defend the U.S. dollar? We need to, if you don't use the dollar for trade, well, then we're going to slap 100% tariffs on you on one hand, but then in the other hand say, well, I love Bitcoin. I love crypto. We're going to be the Bitcoin crypto. Does that make sense? But to me, that doesn't make sense, because all the Bitcoin and crypto people have always said, well, we're the alternative to the fiat dollar system. To go an even step further, I would almost say at this point that crypto is becoming more embedded with the US dollar, becoming more part of the very system that all I had heard over the last 10 years they were working to fight against. I don't know. I find it all very interesting, all very ironic in terms of how the situation is being held. I want to show you a subscriber comment, right? I always encourage you guys to comment, and you come up with some great points. This one came from Arun Kumar. He said tariff policy will backfire on the USA more so than on the BRICS. More and more countries will join the BRICS as a noble group trading in their own currencies with each other. Weaponizing the dollar and seizing assets by the West was a turning point for sovereign countries to move away from the dollar-denominated trade. Endless printing of dollars by the USA without backing it up with hard assets is the real reason for other countries to trade with their own currencies. It's the way forward in the future, and I think that it's starting to feel that way. Definitely starting to feel that way. Okay. There's going to be a big period of uncertainty as we head into this inauguration of Trump, and there's going to be another major period of uncertainty after he's in office. Okay. We don't know what to expect during this 2025. I am not a political statement at all. I'm just stating the facts. That's what we have coming down the pike. And all of this is, we have Donald Trump, who can be quite tumultuous, right? He's a man of his conviction. He does some, let's say, strong moves. Okay. All of this is happening in a world that is geopolitically in a more uncertain state than any other time in history. I mean, look what happened with Syria over the weekend. I'm going to show you. I thought this was probably, trying to understand, if you're anything like me, the situation in the Middle East is mind-boggling. And I thought this cartoon summed it up. This came from Gold Stock Trades on X. Middle East is a boondoggle. Okay. And if you look at this cartoon, maybe this is the best way for us to understand what's going on in the Middle East right now. You've got us over here, the anti-ISIS. I guess this was old from Obama, but I think this still makes sense. And it shows all the different interesting countries in the Middle East, right? There's Russia, and it shows when they're pointing guns who they don't like. You've got Assad in Syria, you have Turkey, who doesn't like the Iraqis but doesn't like Assad, but you have Assad who doesn't like ISIL. They don't like Israel. Israel doesn't like Saudi Arabia's over there. They don't like Assad. You have Iran. They don't like Saudi Arabia, and they don't like, it's so confusing, but that's what's going on in our world right now, right? And that's why we choose to protect ourselves with silver and gold, right? It's a confusing situation. It's tumultuous. And we have a president coming into office who has a history, right? Who has a history of making bold moves. I'll put it that way. We know his history as a businessman. We know his history as a president, right? And we know that there can be, let's just say, a certain degree of uncertainty. So all that uncertainty with Donald Trump gets lopped on top of a world. This is not the year 2000. Things were much calmer then, right? This is not 2008. Things were much calmer then. The world has changed dramatically over the last 5 years. The world has changed dramatically over the last 10 years. Think about it, right? Lop on top of that, okay, the uncertainty that is embedded with Donald Trump, lop on top of that, the U.S. fiscal situation, the amount of debt, and it's not just, and then lop, if that's a word, pile on top of that it's not just the United States, it's the whole world that has a debt problem, guys. Whatever it is now, 340 trillion, 370 trillion. It's going to be absolutely crazy. Let's go do an update on the gold and silver price, and then we're going to talk about the big news story of the week, the biggest news story in the history of the planet. Let's go out to Pimbex. Let's see how bad it got. Okay, down 16 cents. Hey, you know what? Better than being down 60 cents like we were earlier. Gold down about $10 per ounce at $2,645 per ounce. Is Susie still in the live stream? I want to show you guys unbelievable work that Susie, who's a big part of our channel, has done. That's us. There's I showed this the other day. That's our new Christmas tree, live Christmas tree. When Susie and I first got married, I said, absolutely, we will never have live Christmas trees. They're a waste of money. And for the last 20 years, we've had a live Christmas tree every year. But look what that's the outside of our house. Isn't that beautiful? I took that last night. Susie did all that by herself. Please tell her how beautiful it looks. And I will tell you that when the sun shines on our house during the day, it doesn't quite look that nice. That's a very flattering picture of our home. Where was I? Here we go. Don't forget, guys, that's what you were dealing with right now. I pulled this up earlier. I didn't make this. This was a meme that was on Twitter. That's the world we're living in, right? How different are these two things? I think what really drives it home is this. If I were to give you a test right now and you had a red marker and you're looking at this picture that's on your screen, you have a monopoly dollar, you have a United States Federal Reserve note, and you have 3 ounces of silver. And I gave you a big red marker. And I said, you need to circle the two things on this picture that are most similar. Which would you circle? I certainly hope that you would circle the monopoly dollar and the US dollar, because I'm telling you, there's not much difference right now, right? And we're seeing it play out in real time in our country. Let's talk about the biggest news item that we're going to get this week that will likely move the price of gold and silver. Luckily for us, we got about 4 days to prepare for it. But on Friday, we're going to get the jobs report. That will impact the price of silver and gold, because we're at this point now where there's been more focus put on the Fed, right? The reason why is because there's been some mixed signals from the BLS, the Bureau of Labor and Statistics, regarding just how good the U.S. economy is doing. I don't know about you. Like, I'd take my mom and my daughters to the mall yesterday so they could do some Christmas shopping. I sat there. I don't shop. I never would buy anything at a mall myself, right? Like, these beautiful Brooks Brothers shirts I wear, I buy on eBay. I'll leave it at that. But I sat there and observed just all these people. But I observed one thing. There were a lot of people, but I didn't see a lot of bags. People had bags, no doubt about it. A lot. It was a madhouse. West County Mall here in St. Louis, like the upper middle class part of town. People didn't have that many bags. A lot of people, and I purposely sat by. They've got one of those mall trains, where people take their little kids and the train goes around the mall. But anyway, people didn't have that many bags, but it was crowded. The Apple store and people going out the door. But okay, back to gold and silver. The jobs number, and people with, like Susie and I raised twins. Our twin daughters are 12 now. I feel sorry for some of the parents out there. I remember what we went through, but when you've got 2 or 3 year old kids, 2 and 3 year old kids, I didn't say this. One of my friends said this, but 2 and 3 year old kids are like drunk people. Watching these little kids like throw fits about not being able to get on the train and whatever else. All right, I digress. Friday, we're going to get jobs numbers. Okay. Number one big thing to remember, right? These job numbers are fantasy land, but there's an increased focus from a silver and gold perspective on what the Fed will do as we go into these next few Fed meetings. We're going to get an update on that in 1 second. But if the jobs number comes in unbelievably good, right? Besides the pardon that he just announced, that could be one of Joe Biden's swan songs during his last lame duck days here in office, because Bidenomics is working. It's working. Yeah, sure, Joe. Anyway, so the jobs number, we'll look at it critically. We know something. We know one thing for sure, right? We know that from March of 2023 through March of 2024, the jobs numbers were overstated by at least 880,000 jobs, almost 1 million jobs. We know that every month when they give us these job numbers, they revise the previous 2 months, and 95% of the time they are major downward revisions. Now, if we get, this could be happy land. I got a little feeling. My predictions have been bad lately, so don't listen to me. But I got a little feeling that we're going to have a pleasant surprise on Friday, that we're going to get some type of jobs number that's going to indicate, that's going to send a fear of recession through the markets. Okay, and guys, I got news for you. That could be very good for the gold price and the silver price. Let's go out and take a look at the CME FedWatch tool to see if there's been any change in the anticipation of what the Fed is going to do at their December meeting. Let's let this update. And hey, guys, all right, man. Wow, 600 people. Okay, it's moved a little bit. All right, this is for the 18th of December Fed meeting, which will be 2 weeks from Thursday of this week. So 2 weeks from Thursday of this week, we'll get an announcement by the Federal Reserve in regards to monetary policy. Right now, it's gone down a little bit. There's a 62% chance that they will cut rates by 0.25%. What this is setting up for, the reason why we want to watch this is it's been changing quite. Hold on a second. Susie said something. Okay, we got 200 thumbs up, guys. Thank you very much. It's been changing quite rapidly. Okay, we are in a period right now where the Fed has gained a little bit more credibility from a gold price and silver price perspective. Nothing like they used to have, right? The Fed what they would do would have massive impacts, but gold and silver have started more and more and more to ignore the Fed. However, I would say we're in a little bit of a period here where there's a little more weight being put back onto what the Fed does because things are kind of uncertain, right? We've got a 60-40 chance. There's a 40% chance that they won't cut rates at the next cycle. So we'll keep a close eye on that. Let's just go out to March and see how that's changed. We got a 42% chance that they'll cut rates by a quarter. The rates will be a 0.25% lower, and a 36% chance that by March, that's this from down to 4% from 4.5. So that would be down by a 0.5%. We're going to keep a very, very close eye on that. While we're out here, let's go take a look at the dollar index. Oh boy, it shot up. What? That's weird. Okay. So that's a 1-day chart. I wish that black box wasn't there. I'm going to move it out of the way. If you look at this, guys, that's a 1-day chart of the dollar index. As you can see from about 8 a.m. this morning, Eastern time, so whatever time zone you're in, till now, that's the dollar is moving like crazy also. We got to keep a close eye on that. Let's go out and look at silver one more time before things really get interesting. Silver's going to be down now. I'm going to warn you. We're updating that. Yeah, down 20 cents because the dollar is taking off. The general markets are holding in there. Very interesting. Very interesting. Hey, while we're out here, thank you to channel sponsor First Mining Gold, advancing the Spring Pole and the Du Parquet project. They're a Canadian gold development company, 2 multi-million-ounce projects in Canada. You can learn more about them here at firstmininggold.com, and channel sponsor Fortuna Mining. This is their new website, fortunamining.com. They are running silver and gold mines in Latin America, and they have an expanding gold mining projects in West Africa. You can learn more about them here at fortunamining.com. Their new website's really cool. I love the way the pictures move. And let me get back here. Hey, let's ring the bell. That's for 200 thumbs up. Thank you, guys. How's everybody doing this morning? I didn't forget, Susie. You may not hear the bell. Hold on a minute. Did you guys? Hold on. Let me ask Susie if you guys heard the bell. Okay. The microphone does background noise, whatever, because we're doing laundry. And let's see here. Middle East tension. The debt's not going everywhere. That's it, guys. Have a great day. Okay. I'll look forward to seeing you again next time. Be good to yourself. Thank you for being here. Please subscribe. What? Okay. Now Susie says you guys couldn't hear the bell. Hold on. Audio. Let's see. All right, I'm going to ring it again. You guys let me know if you can hear it. All right. Have a great day. Be nice to yourself. Thank you for being here. Thanks for the super chats. Thanks for the support. Thanks for being part of this group, right? Nice people. Leave comments in the comment section. A lot of good friendships have been made. I'll see you soon. Have a great, great day.